glad.
Hey everyone! I love how many streams do you think go live with? Oh man, I hope I didn't say that. I think
80% of them.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It's a big number. It's not a small number. What do you think, Josiah?
Look, if you don't pay attention to it, it'll go away.
Will it though?
I think it would.
There's a glitch in the overlay, and that's going to annoy me, and I want to try and fix it. So why don't you guys introduce everything real quick?
Well, there was only one of us who is here today last week, so I think that means that Aaron needs to recap why I'm a marble.
Oh, you don't need a recap. Why don't you just talk about life? What's good, what's bad?
I'm a marble.
He is a
That's
marble.
not life. That's fantasy.
Well, is this the real life?
Real life.
Or is this fantasy? Caught in a marble.
Yeah. See, you made a humor.
A humor.
Yes, last week we had a little Una and Voss session. Just them. They went back to Narashiro and found out, oh wait a minute, where's our money? Where's our money? Did a bunch of chores. Una propositioned marriage. Then you went back to the city, back to paradise, and discovered that a succubus was pretending to be Rakath to steal your money, and turned Rakath into a marble and kidnapped Rofi. They summoned some kind of fiends, that same spider fiend that seems to be from the Church of Idrith, again. Seems to have a target on your heads. But it got away, again, because you fell for the obvious deal with the minions trick. No comment. And that's where we basically start off today. You found Rakath Marble. You were a little bit away from paradise, You saved Rofi, he was tied to the back of a chair. But Rofi is a bit discombobulated. Understandably so after being kidnapped, and Voss is just, cleaning the sword, which is not a euphemism.
Isn't it, though?
Well, I know, I pointed it out and it makes it one, but
Isn't it, though?
someone in chat was gonna do it, so I had to get out ahead of it. So, with you in this crystal cave, you looted a good deal of the things that were here. Fiendish notes, gemstones, the money, and Rakath as a marble. What's the plan next? What's going on?
I guess we're gonna go back to the room so I can investigate this marble a little bit more. Take everything that we can.
Absolutely. You pack up as much as possible. Take everything that's all nailed down. Fair. Pick up as much as possible.
We can carry the desk.
Yeah.
Yes, right? I'll carry one side, but also carry the other side. We'll take the whole thing.
Rofi is probably stronger, to be honest.
Rofi's yeah, you forget Rofi's strong. He just doesn't have much leverage.
He could actually
here's the height. He'll just go like this.
Joke aside, I think they could do it, and I kind of want the desk. Is the desk made of wood, Ollie?
Yes.
Oh no,
I want that fucking desk.
I'm not joking. We're gonna take the desk in case we're hidden
Yeah. That's totally it's to be fair, one of the easier ways to take everything on the desk is to take the desk. So sure.
Wait.
No, with you three, you don't have to make a roll. You're not under attack from bats or birds. You can just walk the not very far back with the table. That's not a problem.
I know there's no elevators, but I should picture them trying to get into an elevator and get back to the room.
Angle, swivel.
You gotta get up the stairs. Yeah, exactly. You can have a pivot moment. You can get back to your room.
Flip under this crack here, just for a moment, and lift.
That would be really useful having a little dude who is super strong to just up the stairs.
Yep.
You get back to the room, get back to Paradise. Paradise is going much the same as it was. There's a little bit of alert amongst the guards because the word has spread that the angel that summoned kidnapped someone and that's not good, and it was all probably a ruse. So there's a little bit, you know, the guards are kind of gossiping more than normal, because the guards in Paradise absolutely gossip anyway. But other than that, the casino's still playing. When you're up in your room, you can hear the laughter and the murmur muffled by the many floors of the Paradise Enclave. But you can... how do you want to investigate the Rakath marble?
I'm going to take out my alchemist tools and I'm going to make an Arcana check.
Fair.
To be honest, I don't really have any ideas.
I just like that you take the tools out.
Yeah.
That makes me happier. It's definitely not a spell you've seen before. But it does seem that the magic is congruent with a common curse. It shouldn't actually be that hard to dispel. There is magic to turn people into objects, which is nearly impossible to reverse. It's like legendary stuff. This is really just a fairly common curse to get someone out of the way. If you knew someone who could dispel a curse, they could probably do it. And probably the priests here could do that.
Alright.
We know a priest that's our friend.
Yeah, we know priests who owe us favors because they, you know, let our friend get kidnapped.
Is it Hal's burden that he let him get kidnapped?
I bought him a burrito. He's mine forever.
You bought him like 2 burritos.
Did.
Yeah.
He's mine for not just this life, but the next as well.
Yeah. I guess I'm
You gonna go find Hal? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great, because he's trying to find you too.
Oh, that's good because I don't know what he looks like because they're all gnomes.
Oi, you nah.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Murphy would then help you point out, because even Murphy would know that.
Yes, you can go find Hal. It's not too hard because he's looking for you. He's a little worried because you did just kind of run off and trying to solve all this. And when he sees you with Rofi, one of the people who went missing, it's like, oh, you found Rofi. That's great. That's amazing. That's and Rakath was he fine too?
How
about that?
The marble.
Leans in. The eyes narrow. Well, how about that? This isn't something that he usually does.
No.
No.
I
this
have to
something people can
ask.
do?
We serve all kinds of people here.
Gives me an idea. It's just
I am sure that we can fix this. If you will allow me a little, if you come with me upstairs to the temple, I'm sure that we can fix this. And he will start rushing away, little legs going up the stairs, up the twisting spirals to the temple where it sits above everything else in the enclave, which you were in before when you were looking at the succubus pictures and stuff. He will start a pretty, this doesn't seem like it's the most extensive ritual in the world. You know, he lays out some of the red feathers, a little bit of salt and ash, very common in these kind of religious rituals, and will utter some magical words to attempt to remove the curse upon Rakath. Now, Rakath,
Yes.
you're in a very cold place. Which is technically you. Don't think about it. But all your senses are kind of stripped away. You can kind of see what's going on in the outside world, but not with your eyes. You can kind of feel it. It's like everything is gone through a blur filter at like 200%. You can tell that you're being moved around, and you can kind of tell that you're in paradise and things like that. But it's dark, and it's cold. But there is It's not necessarily a warmth in the darkness, but there is a sensation in the darkness. Bright eyes that look forward towards yours. Shattered and broken, repeated many times as if in a broken mirror. And when you feel a hand from this creature reach out towards you, you suddenly feel as if you've just had the biggest, most both satisfying and unsatisfying stretch of your life as Rakath is returned to his normal size. It's such a translocation that it actually, there's a gust of air, right, that comes from him.
Rofi was
that?
taking note and just rolls backwards.
Who's directly in front of me right now?
It would be Hal, and then these two would be behind you.
Without any reaction, it's just grabbing by the throat and dagger at the throat and on top of him, without any moment of hesitation, and then stopping. The blade
He would
doesn't-
be.
Yes.
His technique to this is to go completely flat and just wide.
Which is the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah.
Oh, Rakath, it's okay.
Puts the dagger just away immediately, still holding
was
Hal
very
by the
fun.
throat, but then slides it down to his shoulder and kind of picks Hal up as he leans back, and then sitting eye to eye with Hal, leaning back and then slumping.
I told you it wasn't the most complicated curse to reverse. Whoever did this, I think they wanted time and convenience. You know, when you're trying to do magic, you can settle for power or you could settle for speed. Often.
I think we're all just looking at Hal like, you can go now.
Hacker isn't looking at anybody like anything. He's just middle distance looking out at
You give him that dirty look, and he will push himself up off his knees and awkwardly walk out of the temple you're in to his faith.
Rakath, are you okay?
He doesn't respond. He's still staring out middle distance.
I'm just gonna kind of fill him in on what happened.
Yeah.
Got back to Narashiro. You know, you guys were gone. We found you. Well, we found somebody
Rofi's taking notes.
disguised as you. Rofi tied up to a chair. We defeated the demon, the succubus who was taking your likeness, and then we found you as a marble.
He's just
And now-
still staring middle distance. It's like he's not even registering what you're saying.
Now we've gotten you back, and things are better now. I'm gonna give him a hug
He
to see how that goes. It's a very tentative hug.
completely, like, just
Yeah.
nothing. His hand is shaking a bit. That's the one thing you've probably noticed. It's the hand that was holding the dagger as well.
I know. I can make you a potion. That'll make me feel better.
Rofi's just doing the thing where he's like looking back and forth between you two, not sure at all how to handle this.
I'm just going to make you some tea with some blue lady leaves, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes the cup from you, his hand shaking, tea spilling everywhere as he shakes.
I will like hold your hand to kind of like steady it if you're struggling.
And he will take a drink, but then continue staring into the distance. And then his hand will go back to shake.
Don't know what to do.
Voss, who has been standing in the background, as he is wont to do, will say, "Is he broken?"
It's not broken. You can't say that.
He just kind of like gives you. He just looks at Rakat.
Let me show you, Yuna. Let me show you.
Sure. And I will.
Yeah.
I don't have any spells left for today.
No, but you can use your
I can do the ritual.
your memory string thing, right?
Yes, that is a cantrip, but to give it to him, that's fine.
You
'cause I
need
can
to use
cast it as
investigate.
a ritual. Yeah. You
Yeah,
give it to him.
exactly.
Just
And you got
just takes
time.
a little while.
Yeah.
All
that's
I'm
fair.
encoding is the eyes. The eyes and the shattered glass.
You know, the easiest way to describe this is kind of that, you know, that almost Dormammu-esque. The scale of whatever this thing is both huge, but also not measurable by any scale you would understand, right? The colors are clearly that of the void glass. It's like what you saw in the void glass. But even in what he saw, it was glass and it was broken. But it wasn't. And it was shifting and moving, and the very ribbon of encode thoughts would almost be unstable with it, right?
I'm just gonna kind of fold up the ribbon and just kind of like take Rekha's hands and put the ribbon inside of it. Sometimes when things happen to us, we don't know how to process it
That's
right
not.
away, and
It's not what this is. It's not.
well, then you know what? I'm sure we can do some research and we can find out more about it if that is what you want.
It was empty. He stands up and he starts walking out.
I'm just gonna follow.
Voss will say, like, you know, in the kind of pregnant silence as you're walking outside into a very loud place, into a casino, he will say, if Rakath saw something, I am to believe that he saw something.
I'm gonna hand Voss the ribbon.
He would probably, you know, look over it. Because it's not like you look into it. I imagine you just kind of run it through your fingers and you see, right? And in a very Voss-like way, his expression doesn't really change. He'll just hand it back with a nod, like an understanding.
Can I? If Rofi walks up to
Reach back, hand it to Rofi, and realize it's probably way too high, and then
Oh.
read it on.
hands it back, pulls out a notebook, and just starts noting, just writing down everything.
Voss will say that there are creatures in this world far beyond our understanding.
I don't like that. I need to understand.
I agree. I like that. Understanding good.
Yuna,
I just want you to be safe
thank you.
and to be happy.
He's gonna stop, and he's gonna turn, and he's just gonna lift Yuna up with a big hug.
Oh,
Say thank you. And he's not gonna put you down, and he's gonna turn around and keep walking.
As
At
you...
At no point, by the way, am I putting you down for a while.
As you probably just ambiently walk back to the casino, you would see Hal
Oh, wait,
worriedly talking to the other clerics of his order, clearly like, I don't know what happened, they're angry with me, and this is like,
I'm gonna go walk over to Hal, which I imagine he's a little bit jumpy. At.
He does, he jumps and he like smooths down the red feathers of his outfit.
He
Tense.
So, Rakath will actually put Yuna down beside him, first of all. And then he will put his hand on Hal's shoulder and then grip one of his hands in a clasp, you know, that,
Yeah.
basically, and just say, thank you.
Well, it wouldn't be very neighborly of me to allow you to be...
Don't speak about neighborly, that's not the point. The point is you helped me and I appreciate it. You are a good man, Hal. I trust you. I unfortunately don't trust others here. Otherwise I wouldn't have been turned into a marble. But you're sharp, and you care, and you want things to be right and good. And I appreciate that. Believe me, I will be giving a recommendation that you get a promotion. And stands up and turns and walks away.
Thank you. Which is a phrase quite rare in Undercommon.
Yeah. And I'm gonna, as we're walking away, I'm gonna whisper slightly to Yuna and just say, "We people we can control here. He is one."
Okay. What's the plan next? On your timeline, the Azet Enclave is pretty much set to arrive any time from now.
We're not allowed to gamble, though I think under the circumstances they probably wouldn't complain if we did. Because if they did complain that we were gambling, I would be very mad at them. But I would very much like to speak to the lady of the house.
Okay. This would probably... This takes a persuasion check to go up and actually talk to someone to get to talk to the...
I'm going to talk to Hal again, specifically, but I'm just going to go get cleaned up first so that I look a little bit presentable and less bomb. But then I'm going to approach Hal and I'm going to say, "Given the circumstances, I would like to speak to the lady of the house, especially given that things have transpired, and in order to give that recommendation I wish to give, I need to speak to her."
Please roll.
Okie dokie. Yeah, 8. Isn't very good.
Considering, Azet will be arriving soon, and we are not on bad terms, but not on good terms, the protection of Mistress Sheila is a bit... When the meeting is done, I'm sure you'll be able to meet with her again.
If it's when the meeting is done, that is fine. That is absolutely acceptable. But, as I noted, it is imperative that I speak with her, given the circumstances.
He does that very nervous multiple nod. Would you like to see the establishment we've prepared for the meetings?
Yes, please. That would be ideal.
As Paradise is built in a ring with a divot, it's actually in that divot before the statue fountain. You know, it's one of those statues that has water flowing from it. And this is actually clean, potable drinking water most of the time. I say most of the time for reasons that I'll explain in a few months. But basically, around there, this is one of those structures, and this is quite common in the Underdark. Any support structure is also a room, right? One of these areas with, because it's Paradise, still a very elaborate door, quite heavy, actually seems quite defensible. Opens up into a meeting room with a big table and stools that would be comfortable for someone of a smaller size or a larger size. On a gnomish scale, it's quite large. Of course, some of you are bigger boys than that, but it's still not uncomfortable. It's not incredibly gaudy either, which is kind of the point.
Is there are there many entrances and exits to the room? Are there windows?
It seems like there's only one entrance, which is the door in. There is a side door that, if you ask to be shown, it just goes into a completely empty room.
Okay.
Does
that room have any additional entrances or exits?
No, aside from all of the rooms here, because they're on the bottom layer, have drainage. Not vents. They have drains. Drainage drains. The term I was looking for was drains.
Yes.
Yeah, they basically have drains underground, which you are aware Rofi could quite easily squeeze into, and even Yuna could probably squeeze into if she needed to for some reason. And based on your knowledge of Paradise going around all the time, they probably just run out of the city. Both rooms have this. This room has a few more because it's kind of meant to slope in like that. But there's no windows, but aside from the window in the door.
Specifically to block off the drains. Like, just block them off from entry or exit in these rooms. Like, cover them and block them with heavy objects as much as possible, just to avoid any unwanted incursions, given that we were attempted to be assassinated here and then also attempted to be killed and kidnapped and have our money all stolen. I'm not fucking risking anything at the moment.
Yeah, you can have some, heavy chest put over the drains. Yeah, stuff like that.
The heaviest objects they can find to cover all of those.
Fair.
Yeah.
Quite sensible, honestly.
Yeah. I just, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, I'm a marble. Fool me 3 times, and really, what the hell is going here?
Fiddle dee dee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll happily do that. That's not a problem.
I appreciate
Our meeting.
They arrive.
When they arrive, basically.
Oh, am I full
wouldn't
health
mind.
by this stage?
No, you haven't rested yet.
No.
Wouldn't mind having a nap.
This is when you take a long rest. Yeah, honestly, I mean, it makes sense. You go do a little bit of present business.
Yeah.
Start your rest. You're not really incredibly bothered by anyone. Tien the gnome has moved out of this chamber to help organize things, which makes sense. And your long rest goes without a hitch. You're not assassinated. You're not mobilized. That goes fine.
Pretty much what I can ask for these days.
That's all you want, right? The DM to say you completed a long rest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Damn!
Importance. If I do declare.
Mercy me.
Oh no.
Um.
Do my eyes deceive me? Is that you, Vara de Vescos? Oh Lord.
The thing is it wouldn't even be out of character for there to be people like this in
Just
the
act
Underdark.
like
Yeah, in the Underdark, in the casino. Yeah. The frickin' like cannibal cultists meet up again.
Yes!
I hope you've been eaten now.
Oh, don't you look just plump?
Oh no! I realized the horrible. Anyway, swoosh. You wake up without a hitch, and very conveniently, you wake up to hearing the gates groan and shift. Now, the gates to Paradise and most city gates in most cities, Underdark or no, are usually 2 or 3 tiered. In that not all of the gate has to open every time someone enters. Honestly, most of time in Paradise, just half of the gate is open, there's clearly portcullises, and you just walk in. And your beetles can walk in through half the gate. You wake up to hearing the gates open properly. And the kind of grinding mechanical noise that echoes through the stone of that.
Where we are, we can't see the gates from our room, correct?
Yeah, your
Like, if
room
we go
points outwards, yeah.
I kind of want to look out anyways, just to see if there's anybody making weird movements that are abnormal to the gate. Basically, what I want to see is if anybody's sneaking around the back. Well,
Okay, you want to take. I mean, you can like run around, look out some windows,
That's the
all
idea,
around
yeah.
the Paradise. Hey, give me a investigation. I think kind
I'm
of is a.
good with investigation. That's much better than perception for me.
I like investigation for this one.
Well,
Oh.
it doesn't fucking matter because I'm rolling like
You
trash.
don't notice anything. You do see the Azet Enclave enter, and it would be, you could say representatives, but it looks like most of the Enclave came along. There are around 6 gnomes of note, right? And then there are a few stable hands, you know, the people piloting the beetles, they stay with the beetles. They only have a couple. They were mostly used for cargo. It looks like they walked. They didn't use them as transport. There is clearly the one in charge, one beside her, and then 4 soldiers. Even from like up in the 3rd floor or wherever your room is, I think it's the 4th floor, you can see they are soldiers. They are armored. The armor is well maintained and shimmers back the aether light. You know how it is.
Oh, good.
Let's go down to the meeting hall. When we get down to the meeting hall, though, I want to look. Well, I'll wait till the unit's done.
Yeah, while you're just searching around, you're investigating that. I am going to cast Augury just to see. There's nothing but bad things waiting for us at this meeting.
I think you would get a result of wheel. You know,
Okay, good.
you're looking in the future. You're looking to the tea leaves of your morning tea. You know, and things look good. For once.
If we get to like the room before the conclave do, I would like to investigate the room.
Yeah, so
that's what
I
I
imagine you would get, as you're going down into the open ring inside Paradise, right? You will see as it are meeting with Gokhan. There's like, their meeting is going on first. Oh, hello. We're so glad to see you. La, la, la. When you can go down into the meeting hall beforehand. Yeah, exactly, right? So give me an investigation check for just looking through the room.
I'm
Hey,
gonna
okay.
be helping you with that as well, because that's exactly what I was gonna be doing. Is just making sure
Advantage-o.
Perfect.
that, they didn't move any, like, boxes are still there, etc.
Hey.
Yep, as Rakaf would point out, the drains have been covered. There's also been welded shut. Right?
Hey.
The drains would have covers that would usually remove quite easily. Per request, even though you didn't ask for it specifically, they've been welded shut. So, for better or worse, it's much more difficult to remove the drain. And then there's a chest over them in the back room and just a table, but like a more cuboid table in here. Kind of like a side table. There's probably a better phrasing, but you know what I mean.
Big old box.
Big old
Good.
box, fungal wood, stone, heavy, sitting over the drains there. When it comes to the actual room, there is a little bit of food. It is, from your little checks and things, doesn't appear to be poisoned. There's an awful lot of forks. What's that about? But everything seems above board, right? You check for hidden walls, because, honestly, if you were making a place like this, you'd put a hidden wall. It doesn't seem like anything. Seems like everything is above board, but this has all been set up by Paradise, right? This has been set up by the Gokhan Enclave. And it doesn't seem like you've invited them here for them to kill them. That wouldn't be very advantageous for them. So they're trying to do their best to make this safe. Right?
Rofi would note when they find out like that the things are welded shut. Oh, good. This is good. If I need to open it, I can open it. I need this little fizzle in his hand from the
Yes.
the break form cantrip.
Other thing of note, when I said the only window is the one on the door, you would notice that it is in very gnomish fashion. The mechanics of the door are in the artwork, where the window is not stained glass, but it's like a hatch that can open and close, seemingly for crossbow defense, and the door itself can lock from the inside and the outside. But the outside, it seems to need a key. So, fairly common, but just of note. I see spells being cast.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast Magic Wire on myself.
Ooh.
So you can't be divined.
Yeah.
That was the best spell choice for you.
I like how it's also a small square of silk, so it's just like a handkerchief, a very nice quality handkerchief. You plant it, put it in your hair somewhere. Then everyone in your party can say, "Ah, yes, we know." It's nice.
That's
It is
funny.
a nice good signal that, like, oh yeah, things are happening.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Will and I were talking about. There's no size limit
Yeah.
on the object that you can touch. So I just like put a little small handkerchief like over like a giant like wagon.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Like putting a very little fez on a very large ape.
Is there anything else any of you would want to do before the gnomes come into town?
Do we want to have a chat about what we're trying to accomplish?
That would be sensible, wouldn't it?
Oh, I was just going to wing it.
All right, we can do that.
I will say, last night I will have loaded the twin shot into the gun just in case.
Okay.
You know, I also will have put the poison that I mixed with the void glass back into the poison dagger. Just in case.
Yokely dokely.
Just in case. Just in case. I really want to experiment on that and see what it does. So, you know, we'll see one day. But,
For now, you'll
Hopefully
just
not.
use it on your enemies to see.
yeah.
Like every reputable villain.
Yes. Look, if it makes them 1,000,000 times stronger, then we recruit them.
Yeah, you just stab someone and like. Brrrr! You found
Look at
like
what I've done for you. Look at how great I've made you.
the Hulk gene, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know.
See, what villains would actually do is they would go to their ally, and one of the allies, and just poke them, just to see what it would do.
Yeah.
So he's
So-
gonna wing it.
Volunteering.
That okay, fair. You have like this very short conversation, and then the gnomes arrive. The gnomes of the Azet Enclave, led by Hal, walk in. First to walk in is the matriarch. Threw me a little book of gnomes, Rakath. And I think this came up as well. I mean, you know that Gokhan is ruled by a matriarch. But while they're not a matriarchal society, the females run everything. They run the logistic sides of everything. They are the thinkers of the society. So the oldest woman is usually the leader. But she's not as frail as the matriarch of Gokhan. She is wearing full half plate. The armor of the gnomes, similar to Tien's, is very well made, but not decorated. Your gnomish, your dwarven armor would be covered in decorations. Voss's armor is designed with these shadowy swirls and dragon scales. This is just flat. Well made. The only decoration is plumage on the helmet. She looks fairly old, but by no means frail. She is still holding the sword on her hip, you know, as she's walking in, looking around with sharp eyes. The person walking beside her, can you give me a religion roll, Rakath? This gnome is also wearing armor, but that armor is, unlike the rest of them, trimmed with furs. Rich brown furs that fade to whites and creamy colors. He doesn't seem to have any weapon on him as well. And he would be the one talking to Hal. And actually is talking in a very similar way to Hal. This conversation is happening in Gnomish, and whenever you see two gnomes have a conversation, it's like seeing computers have a conversation. It's very fast.
Sadly, I do not know Gnomish.
Yes! The other four of the Enclave do not... two of them walk in, two of them don't. Hal also walks in. And there's two other creatures that you didn't see before. Maybe they weren't with them. Maybe they were with the beetles. But they're smaller than the gnomes, and they're radiating a heat as they kind of flutter a little bit above the ground. These needle-nosed, spiky creatures made of softly glowing rock. They appear to be somewhat obedient, but looking around deviously. They perch inside. So, two guards outside the two mephits inside, two Azit soldiers inside at the table, the matriarch, the man in fur. Hao is in this room, but he's not sitting at the table. He's not part of these negotiations. He's just, just checking.
Conscientious observer.
Exactly.
Rofi, when he sits down, does the whole opens up a book on the thing, pulls out a giant he has a normal size pen. He has a little bit of a bigger pen just to make it look more. He's the note taker.
He's showing off.
Yeah.
Look at the size of my pen.
I imagine the pen's got some little gadget with a little light as well.
Ooh, that is showy. Yeah, especially because this room doesn't have any windows or anything. There's candles on the table. That's it. And you might say, that's not much light. That's how much light you're used to in this world, But that's definitely quite nice.
I'm gonna cast into motion.
Okay. How is nervous? Let's do the easy one first. The matriarch of Azit is unamused. The man in fur seems mildly pleased, curious, I suppose. It's kind of like a happy curiosity. Two soldiers, also unamused. The mephits are letting off this kind of almost very childish emotion of they've been told to stay still. It's kind of hard to put that into a word. There's probably some German word for it. But there's just this kind of childish energy coming off them emotionally. Yes.
I'm gonna go over to them and let them smell me like a dog.
You do that, and they clearly talk in a language, right? You're oh, like a dog, and they kind of talk in this very gravelly but also quite high-pitched tone to each other, and you see that most of the Azit gnomes seem to respond as if understanding that. They don't really pay it all that much mind. They're just keeping an eye. But
I give them head pats.
it hurts. They're very hot. Yeah. It's not so hot you get burns instantly. It's like when you touch a pan that you just took off the heat. Yeah, a bit more than a light bulb. If you left your hand there, you would get burned. Because while these are clearly magma-like creatures, they're not full burn. They're gonna just warm rock.
They are adorable, and I want one.
You want one of everything.
I do.
She's got to catch them all.
Yeah, we gotta collect them.
Yeah, fair.
I'll give it a nice bow to the gnomish matriarch.
Rakat will do so as well.
She will nod and motion to the table. The armor, the chainmail under the metal kind of clinking, and in Undercommon will say, "I see no reason to waste time. Shall we begin?"
Absolutely.
And everyone will sit. Lovely moment of people scooching chairs around to get right at the table.
Yeah.
The Gnomon Fur will lean forward and with a big smile, and his Undercommon is the best of all of them, and will say that. Well, we did receive word that you were interested in a meeting with the Enclave. I do not believe we were given a true reason why. I know that we are interested in negotiations, perhaps even business, and that would be very exciting if that were the case, but I think it would be for the benefit of the entire meeting for you to clearly state your purpose for this meeting at the go-ahead.
I quite agree. Now, first and foremost, I would like to say thank you very much for taking the time to come on such an adventure for, really, a gamble, which I understand may at the very least be entertaining for you. But
Our intention here is quite simple, and you are correct. We wish to do business. Our purpose, our role in life, is to make things work. That's what we do. Now, with the recent crackdown on Aether Crystal coming in and out of Narashiro, there is a extreme hindrance on your business there, to the point that you will be unable to get that into the city, and if you do, all of your buyers will be slaughtered. Now, that is something we can stop, and it is some service that we can provide. Getting the Aether in, and finding buyers that won't immediately be killed and therefore lost to you as potential future clients.
The matriarch will interrupt, right? Like, you're even about to say something and will just interrupt with, why do you say with such certainty that you can offer safe passage of our crystal into the city?
We can offer safe passage of anything into our city.
Why?
Because we know how. Not this how. We know. We have the...
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just gonna
Pin. Detect thoughts on who?
Oh, I'm the person talking right now, but I can do it to anybody in the room.
Oh yeah, I guess you could just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Save unless I go deeper.
Yes.
Surface thought.
Uh. Right now, it's a lot of. It's the question is why. They're very curious about this statement, and the gnome in fur will just say, "What, my dear and glorious matriarch, blessed be her, is trying to say is that we have had a lot of meeting with smugglers from your city, and any smuggler that offers a 100% guarantee is a liar. Now, looking at you, I think you represent not smugglers."
Correct. Which is why I'm also not a liar.
Would I be correct in assuming that you are offering some sort of legitimacy to our program in the laws of your city?
Not in so many words. You see, we have capacity to make very particular deals, and we believe that your endeavor is one worthwhile making. We believe it is a valid use of one of our... Well, let's put it this way. We have a certain number of things that we can do without any punitive retribution. We are careful to select what those are. We believe your endeavor valuable.
You see, specifically Yuna, this man in fur roll a copper piece over his fingers as this is happening and mutter something under his breath, clearly casting Detect Thoughts. And just listens.
Just so you know, all I'm thinking about on the surface is the eyes. If he's casting it on...
Yeah, and he's about to respond and pauses. And says something in Gnomish to the matriarch. And she says, "So you say, with certainty, that you can get Aether Crystal into the city, and you will be buying it in quantity. You intend to continue selling it on? You intend to use it for magical purposes? Honestly, your intent is not the concern. You are, in a way, offering a deal with the city of Narashiro in the light, in the legal world. Although I am sure how things work in your city, even deals made in the light are deals made in the dark. But you understand what I am trying to say. This is not a underhanded deal for narcotics."
That is correct. It is for the crystal itself. We do not seek drug trade. Not explicitly and not exclusively. Though the properties are very interesting.
Matriarch nods, and without even looking to any others, say, "We would be open to a deal such as this, based on the terms."
Excellent. Well, then, there are terms, I suppose, that we would need to discuss in more detail. There is one condition that I would like to make, if agreeable. We would like to see your compound.
There's a glance, and the moment
I understand I might not be welcome there, but I still wish to see it.
I'm sure that won't be a problem as long as we can enter and look upon yours as well. Especially as this is a deal made in the light. There is no reason for us to sneak around in the dark. It would be a good opportunity to see what you are doing, as it seems that you are interested in the magical components of Aether Crystal.
Now, what I will say is we cannot show you our laboratory, and that is because it is not our laboratory to show. We are transporting it there. What I can show you are the city.
We would be interested in seeing your city. We're interested in hearing what you are intending.
Indeed.
I'm sure this will all be agreeable to make a deal more long-standing than... We have made many deals with people who come to Azit and they buy crystal in bulk and leave. And we know not what with our crystal what they do. This will be a slightly different arrangement. But I'm sure that will be absolutely fine.
I have absolutely no problem at all with you knowing what we're doing with it. We would intend to sell at least some of it on. Very specific clients who are very much above board. Some of it, however, we would like to use for our own research.
Now, is it correct that the house that you represent and that fine lady here is a part of works directly under the command of the Daimao?
Word does travel, doesn't it?
Even far away and hidden in the dark, as are we. Information, I'm sure you will understand, is power.
Indeed. Now, to answer your question, yes. To answer your question in long form, yes. And there are reasons for that, and there are also caveats to that agreement. But those are not your business, nor are they anybody else's.
And I understand, and that is entirely reasonable. It is merely standing of the character of the business that you represent, the business of House de Vescos. And it does stand quite well for your character. And as she is the person who personally signed the order to illegalize Aether Crystal, allowing it back into the city through a legal representative of her own word will surely be without any sort of hitch.
Indeed.
I am quite understanding that even not as a narcotic, but as a pleasant substance, it is enjoyed quite well by your people, and it has been stripped away, taken from the common folk. I'm sure re-entering it into the supply of the city will only bring both joy and gold.
Well, that would be if it were going back to the common folk. But
You are intending to keep it among the noble.
I don't even know if it will reach the nobles. All I know is it will see its purpose, and we will see it there.
Well, and he looks to Matriarch, I think we are happy to make a deal. I think that is quite clear. And I will be honest, I am much gladder than this, because if we were meeting upon the roads, I'm sure it may have gone any other way. But the specifics of the deal, the amount, the time, who will be handling transport and the such, and to make it safe for everyone involved, we will be able to narrow out over the evening, I'm sure, or maybe even longer. And he looks to the matriarch. He's like, I'm sure it'll only take the evening.
What I actually might suggest is that we table the conversation until after we've had the opportunity to see each other's operations. I think
If you are not in any sort of rush.
we are not. We know very well that there is a time and a place for each of these actions, and we want to see things first, of course, and we want you to feel comfortable with the deal. So, my suggestion is that we go back to Narashiro and firm up our numbers, and once we firm up our numbers, we come and visit your location, provide you with those numbers. If you're still interested based on those numbers, you can bring a representative back with us, and they will come and see our facility. You can even bring several. It doesn't really matter how many people you bring with you. We just need to know the numbers when we're leaving so that we can send a message ahead of time.
That sounds quite agreeable. Putting some time between the concept of the deal and the forging of the deal is quite important to make sure that both parties have had time to think upon all the particulars.
Of course, and as you know, information is vital, near and far from Narashiro, and I'm sure we have much to gather. But I appreciate your time and your efforts, and I'll turn to the matriarch, and I'm gonna speak in Sylvan for a moment, just for a brief moment, and see if she knows it. Rofi will know it, which is good, but I'm just gonna say in Sylvan, because it is, I think, at least a connected tongue to Gnomish, so there might be at least some crossover. We'll see. And just say an old Sylvan saying that just means essentially grace and honor upon you and thank you for your time, essentially.
She doesn't seem to react too much. There's a few words in Gnomish shared, and the man in furs says, "We will be spending a few more hours upon this city. As you understand, to people of our order, this is not the most hospitable place, despite the efforts." And he kind of motions to Hal, and is like, "Yeah, okay, I get it. So if there's anything else you think of in that time, feel free to come to me, and all conversations will be had between us."
Of course. One other point of interest. I assume that your facility is in the Underfey.
Not exactly. We do mine the Underfey. Our facility is not within those borders, although it would depend on who has drawn the map.
Of course.
I'm going to roll out a map.
And just say, my understanding is that you would be approximately here.
And I'm going to mark somewhere.
He
and-
pulls out from under the armor a contract. As he puts it down, it says that the information, the exact information of the Azet Enclave will not be disclosed to anyone other than members of the House de Vescos, etc., etc.
A non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
Can I investigate this quickly to see if there's anything else hidden?
Yes.
I'm actually also going to review it with a forgery kit just to make sure
That's a
it's not
sensible idea. Yeah. Please
I mean, I
both
can do the
that.
same, and I have proficiency.
I like the
with
idea
as
it comes
well.
out and both of you lean over it, which is totally fair. Very good.
Okay.
What do
roll
I
great.
use with the forgery kit? Intelligence?
Intelligence for this. Yeah.
Oh, not so good, but still not bad.
Both of you can tell it's legit. I mean, the seal from Azet is legit. These are legitimate Azet people. What you can actually tell is there is a little bit of magic upon this paper to kind of... It's almost like putting a... No, it's not like a magic binding, like, oh, if this fails, you return to a donkey or something.
Okay.
It's
Wondering
more
if-
like how currency has markers in it so they can find it, and it's real. There is a magical marker upon this piece of... Actually, this is parchment, which is a bit rare.
Do I recognize the magical marker in any way, shape, or form?
You just recognize that it exists, right? This
Can
is
I-
magic that exists, and this also Rofi would know because you've dealt with this kind of thing. It's quite common amongst lawmakers in magical communities, right?
Okay.
It'd be common upon Narashiro, and it can kind of tell you where it's from and who did it, right? If you know about it, that sort of thing. If
If
one of
I
you was
had a-
playing a lawyer, you would know this
I had
stuff.
If
It's
I had
like
a
a
particular
single number.
cantrip that maybe told me about the author of the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
The actual contract itself is very simple. If you have if you fail your side of the agreement, if you disclose, you are officially at war with Azit, which is honestly pretty fair for Underdark deals. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a slight addendum on it, which I will tell him that I'm going to be doing this first, and he can choose to sign it or not, as is common within the legal proceedings. And the addendum is that if the information is disclosed that we are aware of where the Azad Enclave is to any party outside of the parties in this room, that they will officially be at war with Narashiro.
Okay.
Essentially, they can't tell anybody that we know.
Yeah,
and we-
and that would even be absolutely. There's also there is a torture clause where if you are tortured and the information slips out, it'll be under review, right? It's really just for you telling people.
Quality of the torture.
If the information was magically stolen, it could be in for review.
There's the magic clause and the torture clause.
Unlike in
like
the actual
magic
surface of
around-
Jarviskjir, that's not all that magical. There are magic clauses in the contracts in the Underdark. Absolutely.
Like, I seriously need to buy the Acquisitions Incorporated book just to get more rules on lawyering.
So that would,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll do a quick initial by that clause, and if
He
you
will
wish-
actually change that to not be Narashiro, House de Veskos.
Then I will also make it that House de Veskos would be officially at war with Azad and not.
Yeah, that's what it would be. You're signing on behalf of de Veskos. Yeah.
And just making sure that that was the case. And I'd actually have Yuna sign the official document because I don't have the authority to do so.
Yes.
I have the authority to initial and to review, but not to actually sign.
You'd also know part of the scribing magic on this, which is stronger than normal, is almost like a proof of identity, right? When you sign, you're using just a quill, and it like flashes when you finish the signature, you know? And the same happens with them, and it's almost like a, you know, this is legitimate. Pretty hard to forge, although I'm sure you guys could actually do it if you wanted to.
We have two people good at forgery.
Forgery
Yeah,
kit
it's
is
forgery, magical, tinkering,
we're fine.
information. You
know,
are a
I can-
party who should and would and will forge magical documents.
Oh yes.
But once it is signed, he'll roll it back up and he will put a pin on the map. And this is a perfect place for us to take a break. No, Tesh, we're over time.
Wait, no,
Save your idea.
No, it's just for. Okay.
Save it. It better be good, because we're going back with it when we go live. I want my socks blown off. I'm not wearing any socks.